everyone, I'm Michelle. Welcome back to You Therapy. This is a video about grounding. This particular type of grounding today will be physical movement type grounding, which to me I find the most powerful, but it's all up to the individual what works for them. So I would invite you, if you're interested in learning skills for grounding, distress tolerance, is that you are willing to try a lot of different types of grounding, practice them when you're not upset, when you are getting a little bit upset, and soon you'll sort of find what works best for you. And maybe it's situation by situation what works best for you. Today I'm just going to do a few of the physical movement grounding skills. There are many more, but let's get started with these in particular today. And grounding, if you're not aware, is a way of getting ourselves feeling solid, centered, calmer, more connected to who we are. Our mind and our body feel more connected. We feel less upset and overwhelmed. So we oftentimes will use grounding techniques to intervene when we're noticing that we're getting more upset in some way. And we'll go in, the way to use them is to say, I'm having a hard time right now, to notice that. And notice it non-judgmentally, and then start doing some things intentionally. And that's how it works best, is when we're doing the grounding exercises with the intention of taking the edges off the upset. So we're not going for feeling completely blissed out and wonderful and all our problems go away. That'd be lovely. But we do just like to take the edge off of things so that we can move on and take care of ourselves and solve our problems. So mindfully is how we're also going to approach the physical grounding. And if you're willing to maybe do some of these with me as I demonstrate them, because doing the exercises, experiencing them, is so much more profound and helps you learn them better. And maybe if you want to, use this each time that you want to practice grounding exercises, I can lead you for a while, and pretty soon they may become second nature and you won't even have to think about it that much. They'll just kind of come to you the more you practice them. So mindfully, one way to begin physical grounding is with our breath, always connecting to the breath. So we're noticing that we're getting upset, and we decide to take care of ourselves by connecting to the breath instead of being in our head, or instead of just reacting, lashing out, self-harming, running away. We'll connect to the breath entering our body and exiting. And continue to see how much you can focus on your breath as you do the other physical grounding exercises as well. One way to start is with just self-holding. Babies need to be held when they're crying and when they're scared, and we need it too as adults when we're upset, and there might not be someone around to do that for us. And it's okay to give that to ourselves. So self-holding, one way is beginning with the head. Our emotions are up here as well in our body, and so putting our hands to the side and holding gently, not squeezing, but firm while we breathe. And maybe do that for 3 breaths. And then we may want to hold in the front and the back. Try and see how that feels if you're willing to, if you're comfortable trying this. Just seeing how it feels to gently hold with the intention of self-care. And we can keep one hand on the forehead, one on the chest or over the heart. Continuing belly breathing. And you may want to say something to yourself like, I'm okay, it's okay. And it can feel nice to hold yourself. And to be sure you're belly breathing and not chest breathing, oftentimes I will put my hand on my belly and one on my chest. Feel the belly expand and contract. The chest breathing is related to fight or flight, panic, and belly breathing actually sends a chemical message to the brain that you're okay. You don't have to react. There are other ways to hold. If we're thinking about the double hemispheres of our brain crossing our body, the two hemispheres can sometimes have a way of connecting the mind and body and help us feel grounded. So this is something you can do in public too. Say you're at a meeting or you're in school or at a family gathering, at a party, holding, and you're intentionally holding. You're not doing it to hide. You're not doing it to shut yourself off from people. You're saying, I'm feeling anxious right now. I'm feeling upset right now. So I'm going to intentionally hold. And you hold both sides of your arms. And you can squeeze a little with some self-supportive messages. Something that works for you, something simple. It's okay. Tapping. It's another way of engaging, connecting both hemispheres of your brain. Tapping, gentle tapping. And also just kind of caressing or smoothing down your arms. And so holding, tapping, caressing. You can also do some tapping just up and down your arms and hands. And again, we're doing this mindfully, gently but firmly, with the intention of connecting our body and mind and of getting grounded. You could say, here, now. And tap down. You can do that with through your whole body, down your legs, your abdomen, your back, some gentle tapping around your face. Also, if you have sinus issues, this can feel good too, or tension headaches, this can feel good. But this is another way to connect your body from your mind. Soothing over your eyes. Again, be gentle. Soothing. We get muscle contraction in our jaw when we're upset. So kindly tapping and asking those muscles to relax, to let go. I like wiggling my toes. You can do this almost anywhere, sitting in a meeting, in the shower, talking to people, as you start to feel that your body and your brain aren't as one. And just try that now. See how that feels. Even in your shoes, sometimes you can wiggle your toes a little bit. Wiggling the toes, feeling your feet connected to the earth, and mindfully just putting your focus there on your toes, wiggling and saying, be here now, or it's okay, I'm okay. So I like the ones that you can do when you're around people, because sometimes that is a time where we can get overwhelmed, we can start to numb out or feel frantic. And little things that we can do when we're around people until we can get to a place where we're alone and can do something else can be nice to have as a tool. Something you may not do around people, maybe you will, but is oftentimes something you could do, like if you went into the bathroom. I invite people, if they get kind of freaked out at parties or at big meetings, is to go into the bathroom. Go into the bathroom and do some of these things that you don't feel comfortable doing around people. And this is something I do at home too, is starting to feel upset, starting to feel overwhelmed and disconnected, as doing squats. So something more intense. So squats, lunges, jumping jacks. And, you know, if you're physically healthy, you know, see how many you can do before you're exhausted. There is something sometimes about just exhausting ourselves physically that can calm down the overreactive brain. If you aren't as physically healthy, or you're feeling, you know, aches and pains that concern you, you know, maybe just do 5 or 10, something that fits your level of fitness. But if you can do something intense, squats, lunges, jumping jacks, running in place, dancing is wonderful, because if you're playing music that you enjoy, you also have that feeling that can ground you too, is the sound of the music while you're dancing. And maybe even do, you know, some really intense kind of dancing. That can sometimes be helpful for people. Some other intense physical things you can do would be popping a rubber band or a hairband on your wrist, holding ice, say in a dishcloth, and just holding it, taking a really hot or cold shower. Now, any of these physical things that are intense, I want to be sure that you're always mindful that these things are going to be safe things. So we're trying to avoid self-harm with some intense physical activity. We're going to try not to cause self-harm, okay? Clenching and unclenching your muscles. So pick an area of your body you want to start with. I usually start with my feet, but you can start wherever you want to. Or sometimes I might just do my hands. But mindfully, you know, we sometimes get so clenched up when we're anxious and may not even realize it. You know, you may notice at the end of the day you're just so sore and tight, and you tune into your body and suddenly realize that your head's down, your shoulders are up and crunched, you're bent over. You know, we're bent over our phones, we're bent over other screens, and we get clenched up too in our anxiety or upset. So when we clench, it helps us to do it intentionally, but then to be sure we unclench. So starting with your feet, you can work up progressively to your head if you'd like to do that. Something that can be fun to do is popping bubble wrap if you have it. There's something kind of satisfying about the sound that it makes with popping bubble wrap, or ripping paper. So just deciding, you know, I'm upset, I'm going to just focus on this. So just ripping paper. And nowadays, ripping the news can be really satisfying. And when you're ripping paper or popping bubble wrap or doing squats or stomping around, there are 2 different ways to go about, well, maybe more than 2, but some people may approach it as, I'm so angry and I'm taking it out on this paper, or this bubble wrap, or, you know, these aluminum cans I'm stomping on. That's another satisfying one. It represents a person or me, how I feel about myself. And that sort of expression has been shown in research to actually increase anxiety or rage or anger. So that idea of venting it out doesn't actually hold true in research studies. So we want to be sure that when you're doing something intense and physical, like the ripping of the paper, that you're doing it not in anger, but in a mindful state, okay? In a mindful state, intentionally wanting to take care of yourself and distract yourself physically. If you're able to, if you have the energy to, do something outside. There's something about being in nature that can be, for some people, very healing. So stomping in the mud, jumping in leaves, I really love breaking branches for some reason. There's something that's just kind of fun about breaking off dead branches of bushes. Digging in the dirt, you know, when you're planting things, or even just digging for no real reason. There doesn't have to be a reason, but something that connects you with nature in a bit more intense and physical way can sometimes take the edge off an upset. And maybe you have your own too that you like to do outside in nature. I would love to hear those, or any of the physical grounding exercises that you've tried before and that really work for you and you'd like to share with other people who are watching this video. Again, if you have questions about what grounding is, when to use it, or about other types of grounding exercises, I would be happy to answer those questions. So please ask those if you feel comfortable doing so. There are many more ways to ground physically. This is just a short example, but feel free to watch this video anytime you kind of like to be led in a series of some very, very simple physical grounding exercises. And there'll be more videos on other types of grounding as well. Thank you so much for spending time with this today. Be well.